Report and financial statements of the Gambia Public Procurement Authority. The lawmakers reached the decision after voicing concern over the non-compliance of a good number of the 126 procuring organizations. Maudou Lamin-Sise reports.
Lawmakers during Monday's joint session of the Public Accounts and Public Enterprises Committees of the National Assembly was the Gambia Public Procurement Authority, GPPA. The top echelon of the authority were seeking the Select Committee's adoption of their activity report, audited accounts and financial statements for the year ended 31st December 2010. They had their way, but the sharp-eyed parliamentarians hardly lose sight of where improvements are due. In GPPA's case, the low compliance rate on the part of procuring organizations took center stage. Other issues that cropped up were cross-cutting, touching on various aspects of the work of the GPPA, as stipulated in the act that set it up.
And furthermore, in page 12 of the financial statement, you have indicated a prepayment of rent of 700,000 when you are actually crying over inadequate subvention.
I don't want to see GPPA compromising, because you are there also to oversee the CDDP, because it's public money. Though it's donor funding, but also the Gambia government pays a percentage.
What is saying in that one is there is an act that states or a revised law of income tax payments. The GPPA and some other institutions took it upon themselves to say, no, we are not going to obey that law. We are going to petition the president, and until that time we are not obeying the law. What rights do you have?
I also find it somehow disturbing when you can provide $25,000 to Gamtel as donation when you owe them $65,000.
In response to the observations of the lawmakers, the GPPA management cited a series of reasons militating against their efforts to ensure full compliance on the part of all institutions, and these include the failure to implement reforms contained in the GPPA Act. GPPA officials also said rent payments are also eating away a huge chunk of the authority's insufficient funds.
We need to have in every department of state somebody who is there just to do their job on procurement. This is something we lack in still. That's why no doubt the most responsive organizations, as indicated by my DG, if you look through, they are all PEs, like the GAMTEL, the GCAA, the MDI, and the like. They have a procurement unit, a procurement professionals who are there only for procurement. This is something we're lacking in departments of states.
We decided to make a full 2 years payment because we are thinking like if the recent one we are occupying is 200,000, the paintings are fading, and then it's now proposing to increase 250, and then this one is we are also having it more spacious for 250. Maybe that person also or those landlords might try to increase it. So we grab that opportunity before they increase it. We make a prepayment of 2 years, which is 500,000. That will save us.
We have to quickly get together as heads of institutions and organize ourselves and address our concerns to government. Government had since looked at our concerns, and they have now concluded and taken a decision that the tax is not feasible as of now. So it's something that has now been shelved, which means that we are back to the old system.
The documents tabled have been adopted, but there is no room for complacency. For the Gambia Public Procurement Authority and procuring organizations have other challenges to face squarely. PA officials can, however, at least breathe a sigh of relief, buoyed by the lawmakers' promise to look into the need to get them a parcel of land to construct their offices urgently. The Gambia Public Procurement Authority is legally mandated to ensure compliance in all procurement transactions, but the authority is far from realizing this objective. However, they feel there is a way out. They want increase in government subvention, a 1% levy on all procurement transactions, and amendment to the GPPA Act, building them with the powers of prosecution to ensure compliance. Maudou Lamin-Sise, Grts News, the National Assembly.
UNESCO brother, the two ministries of Education and the University of the Gambia have jointly rolled out an MA program in sectoral analysis and management. The degree program, conducted in English through long-distance learning, is said to be the first in the whole of West Africa. It's prompted by request for human resource and capacity building for efficient institutional operation. Mohamed Jamati tells us more.
University of the Gambia's establishment backdrop that it should rub shoulders with those of world-class reputation in responding to public needs and the dynamics of modern challenges.
The tradition is that universities respond to the market needs, but I believe also that universities should reorient those needs. I don't believe in a university that just follow the needs, even if those needs are not reasonable, but I think universities should also reorient the needs of the society to meet the higher educational values.
This distant MA degree program in sectoral analysis and management is one such effort. Bigger universities in West Africa would have loved to host the only English version of it, which the Gambia University is privileged to have. It is at a pioneering stage with only Gambian beneficiaries. That is hoped to change with the inclusion of foreign students later.
Without proper analysis, you cannot do proper planning. You cannot come out with proper policies that would suit that would address the needs of the country.
Capacity lapses in the institutional and ministerial human resource needs are to blame for their below-the-belt performances. Redress of it could be through such trainings.
And that is why I want to agree with the Director of Planning in saying that this is just the beginning, and I have no doubts in my mind that ministries will come forward in the subsequent programs with sponsorship for their own staff.
This distant learning have low enrollment for the moment, but humble beginning is not necessarily an indication of humble ending. This one is expected to grow into a large-scale university program, attracting foreign candidates as well.
This program can be a success story. There is a lot of positive element that we can make it a success story and a good practice to duplicate.
Professor Bugrum also sees the need to bolster Africa's qualified human resource base, the lack of which, he says, proves to be a huge challenge to the continent's progressive efforts. Recruitment of a critical mass of managers, administrators and analysts would create an avenue for the maximum utilization of the plentiful requisite material resources at Africa's disposal.
If you don't have the knowledge that if I do X, Y, it gives me Z, or if I do 1, it gives me 2, then you don't have the skills, you don't have the necessary information to plan even your own lives.
This UNESCO Breda Field course is a step toward that direction. It began humbly with few students enrolled, which in the long run would expand to welcome those outside the country. If that happens, the pioneering succeeds. Then it would become the green light for its continuity. Work at this stage then is by no means simple for organizers and beneficiaries as well. For Grts News, I am Mohamed Jamal Sise.
A delegation comprising senior officials of the Ministry of Youth and Sports and some youth leaders led by the Permanent Secretary has been touring youth farms across the country. The trip was meant to give the top party first-hand information on the state of the farms cultivated in response to the President's Back to the Land call. Grts' Samuel Ba went along and he reports the delegation also held discussions with local authorities and other stakeholders.
All regional farms across the country by the Permanent Secretary, Youth and Sport, accompanied by other youth leaders. The visit, among other things, is meant to
come and see the progress that they have made in preparations for the harvests. We want to see the plans that these farms have in place for the harvest season. And secondly, the second purpose is to plan together with them the marketing, putting in place a marketing strategy for the produce. Now, what we have in mind here is that all the farms, whatever they produce at the end of the rains, we at the level of the ministry want to buy everything from them.
The first port of call was the North Bank region, where the team was led to the Upper Nyomi village of Fas Omar Sao, where a 2-hectare late millet and sesame farms were inspected. At Ndungu Keba in the lower Nyomi district and Ilyasa in upper Badibu, 5 hectares of late millet and 5 hectares of groundnut farms were respectively cultivated by the youths of the region.
I've also observed a lot of